We are live, and this is a special Saturday morning edition of Metalheads Unite. We're here with Andy from Deimos Dawn, or Deimos Dawn. We were just talking about
we were just talking about
it. So yeah, we were actually talking about it, and then I said, "Hold up, we need to go live so we can get everybody on board here." So everybody's kind of knows what's going on. So. But we definitely appreciate you taking the time to talk with us.
Yes, it's early. It's late Saturday afternoon, early evening over there in Germany. So
yeah.
So. Yeah, but it's great to be here. So just late afternoon.
Yeah,
really great to be.
We appreciate you taking the time. Yeah, we actually do a lot of most of our band interviews are from over in that area, honestly. So.
Yeah,
we've talked to. I mean, Hex was Germany, and I don't remember. There's been a few bands from Germany, but a lot of Swedish and Finnish bands too. So we're kind of glad we're actually able to talk to some of those bands to get people in the States kind of hooked on that the scene over there, because I think the scene over there is like, people don't understand how. Land-wise, it's kind of more compact than the States, but seems like there's a lot more music going on there than it is here sometimes. So,
I think so. Okay, but yeah, definitely it's a lot. Especially now you have a lot of new music, and it's also really cool that young people and young bands are coming, and they have a lot of chances to promote them the music today. So in the 90s, when I actually started, it was much harder to get attention. But today, that's quite cool. But yeah, you have to spend your time on networking and all the things. But that's quite more easy in the digital era. And we are here,
right?
Actually,
exactly. Yeah, we're all. I mean, the three of us are just sitting here hanging out at our respective houses, and we're literally 7 hours apart from each other, and we're just hanging out literally in basically the same space at this point. Like you're talking about back in the 90s, there was no way to do that. And, even as far back as maybe maybe 20 years ago, I remember, listening to like satellite radio was still around, and that's how I remember that's how I got turned on to some of the bands that I still listen to this day over there. I remember, just having some satellite radio on at my house back when I was in high school. So we're talking almost actually 30 years ago. And that's how I actually first discovered Arch Enemy, was over satellite radio.
Okay.
So I mean, but back then, even though that's how I discovered them, I still had to go out and buy the CDs.
Yes.
Because even back then, even though the satellite radio was around, there were no platforms like this. Spotify wasn't around. Facebook hadn't been invented yet. I don't know if YouTube was in its infancy or what, but I mean, so the music was out there to be listened to, but it was so much harder to find, and we would have never been able to have a discussion with a member of the band 20 some odd 30 years ago. There's just no way. So everything is advanced so fast.
Yeah. It had its advantages and disadvantages, as always. So
true, yeah.
But I think Jerry Seinfeld said, every generation has to deal with their own stuff. So
absolutely.
Well, it's like one of the things that we talk about on the show a lot is sometimes we'll come across a band or two, like when we're doing our album reviews, we pick bands that we never heard of most of the time, and then we'll kind of go through. We kind of go through and listen, and then we got more and more to where we're hearing bands to have that 80s and 90s sound still, trying to keep that alive, and it's kind of cool to hear that every once in a while. It's kind of like, oh wow, that's kind of different, because you don't hear that as often as you did, and of course 80s and 90s it's all you heard, but now it's like 20, 30 years later, and you don't hear as much of that, which is pretty cool, because I think it kind of gives them hey, this is us. We're kind of standing out a little because nobody's doing the 80s and 90s sound anymore. But unless they're, I mean, even the 80s and 90s bands have evolved into a little bit of current times. So,
yeah.
Yeah, we
have you said you've been around. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say you've been around for a while, so you kind of seen it. So,
yeah, of course. So I actually got introduced to metal music in the 80s, in the late 80s. So the typical music career of a teenager, starting with things my sister was listening to. So some chart music, some hard rock came, then bit punk rock, and then actually it goes to metal. And at the end of the 90s, and at that time, it was quite interesting to discover all that stuff. And it was not so easy, and that made it a bit more difficult, but it was quite charming. So things like happened because you had no information about the bands you were listening to. We had some cool radio shows around. That was a big help here in Berlin. So even it was an East Berlin a radio show, but they played Tendenz Hard with Heavy was the name. So they played a lot of cool stuff, and so you know the bands, and then you had a lot of tape trading with friends, and of course you had not enough money to afford every record you would like to have. So you actually in your
I still have that issue to this day.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but with Spotify you don't have actually. You can listen to everything. But at that time you just could among your schoolmates or friends, you could say, okay, you buy the new Slayer, you buy the new whatever Creator album, and then we exchange. So you had to organize things. And actually today, and it's a cool thing with Spotify, I discover a lot of stuff I couldn't buy actually in the beginning of the 90s, because as a teenager I just had no money to buy CDs or vinyl regularly. So sometimes I go really back with all that stuff and look into it. But also you are right. We have a lot of. Yep. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying the bad thing about that era was that if it wasn't played, you didn't get radio airplay. We didn't know about it. So
for the most part, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, thankfully over here for, parts of the 80s and into the 90s over here in the United States, I don't know if it reached you guys or not. It may have, but we actually had Headbangers Ball over here. So I mean, we did have a little bit of a chance to kind of hear new stuff every now and then. But when you consider, of course, it's nowhere near that way anymore. MTV is a joke anymore. But which weird, the channel is still around, but anyway, they don't really play music anymore. But back in the day, with the amount of music that they did play, when you consider the fact that heavy metal really only got 2 hours one night a week, I mean, they were, even when the show was on, they were treating heavy metal like an afterthought anyway. So even having that show here in the United States, it was, like Jason said, if it wasn't on mainstream radio, which even because I'm originally from Michigan, so when Headbangers Ball was kind of at its peak, I was living up there, and there wasn't even like a mainstream radio station up in Michigan that played heavy metal. So, and then come down here to Tennessee in the early 90s, there was literally no mainstream heavy metal down here. I mean, it was all country music and classic rock and stuff like that. So, moving from up there to down here, still trying to get your ears on new metal, not new metal, but brand new heavy metal. It was a freaking challenge.
Yeah. But it was exactly the same at us.
Yeah.
If you living in the right area, we had just the luck that we had a local radio show here, 1 hour a week that Tendenz Hart bis Heavy was the name. So they played really the cool stuff. And of course, we had also Headbangers Ball with Vanessa Warwick. And a funny story is a friend of mine, when we were teenagers, he was in the show as he was a huge Accept fan. And
nice.
Just by chance, he went to to a signing session. So when they did Reunion in 92, and actually he wanted to get an autograph in front of the building, and they said, come in. And then Vanessa Warwick did an interview with him.
Oh, that's very cool.
Really, really cool with a 15 years old guy. And that's still around today. And he told me just some month ago, still guys from the US are writing, you were the guy at Headbangers Ball in 92. Yeah, it was quite funny thing. Yeah,
that's a great story.
Yeah. But I would say.
So I'm kind of glad you brought that up. I mean, if you've not seen my shirt, I actually went to see the Ricky Rackman last night. He actually doing a tour talking about some of the things from Cat House and Headbangers Ball days, which is very. If anybody hasn't seen that, and I think they should, because it's very informational, because anything you thought you knew, you didn't really know. So it's kind of a good thing to hear some of those stories and everything. But I did hear. He did say something last night that kind of caught me off. Was like the whole time he was on Headbangers Ball, he had no control over the videos. Period. Like he said, I never had a say in any of the videos, which was crazy. So him being there for five years or more, never had a say in what got played, because he would get people saying, well, you're not playing enough Slayer, you're playing too much Poison, or he said, well, dude, I don't control that. I just play, they play the videos. I just do the kind of VJ thing, and that's kind of what it was. So but I think that was kind of cool to know that, because like you said, you see that, and that's the first thing you think is, oh, why ain't he playing this band t-shirt he's wearing? But that's kind of
right. Yeah.
But he said honestly, if he would have had control of it, he would have played ballads and left all that shit in the daytime and wouldn't have played any ballads on the Headbangers Ball. He would have made it all hard and heavy.
Right.
Which kind of made sense when he said that. So, that kind of makes sense, because if you think about it, you could hear Def Leppard Love Bites 24/7 on there. You didn't have to play it on Headbangers Ball. So I think that's kind of why.
You also could have heard Love Bites on the radio anyway. So.
Well, yeah. But I'm just saying, like you could see that video throughout the day. People like me and you that were big heavy metal fans, thrash guys, we show up in here thinking, we're going to see some Metallica and Exodus and Testament and stuff, and we never got a lot of that. So,
right.
So, and I think that made sense when he said that. That kind of made sense. That would have been a good thing to do, but it is what it is. So,
yeah,
they kind of killed their own self when they kind of went downhill after that, honestly. With the music television and stuff. So, but anyway, so you were Andy, you were explaining kind of where the name Deimos came from right before we came on, and I said, we got to get this on the show so everybody kind of knows where this kind of originated. So,
I can explain it. So, actually, Deimos is the old Latin guys from Rome. Deimos was the word for terror, and of course everyone today is thinking about the moon of the Mars, but actually it's just terror in Latin. And as the guys from Rome, they called the planets after their gods, and the god of war was Mars, and Mars had two sons, Fear and Terror. And Fear is Phobos, and Terror is Deimos. And so we have
there it is.
Nice. There we go.
Very nice.
And we were just looking for some, you can say, a more lyrical expression for Rise of Terror, and that's Deimos Dawn.
I like it. Yeah.
Now that you say that, and I know that now, a lot of the songs that in that album kind of relate. So, because I was picking up on a lot of that with. I'm gonna have to go back and look at the list. I'm sorry, but. Feeding the decline kind of was one of the songs that stuck out when I was listening to it lyrically. I was like, man, this could probably go into every part of the world right now. So with a lot of the what's going on. So
yeah, that one, the lyrics, that's the only song where I wrote the lyrics myself. So the rest of the lyrics were written by Andy Brinks, who was the former Sodom guitar player in the 90s. So, and a very, very good friend of mine. But Feeding the Decline is, I wrote the lyrics, and it's, exactly that. It's a little bit about the, concerns about the state of the world, and that lots of crises we have everywhere. And it's not actually about a particular crisis. So in Europe have, of course, now Russian, where this the Ukraine and terrible thing, but you looking at the world, you have it on different points. You have wars, you have economic crisis. We had the Corona, the COVID stuff, and lots of things. And what I'm thinking about is if those local crises are more an expression of the whole problem we have on the world. So our whole system is based on growth. So actually we grow. So the money we have lost during COVID-19 crisis, we want to get it back by growing and growing. But we have only that planet. So there is that limited surface and everything what we do there. And I don't see that we will go to space quite soon. So and a system which is based on an endless growth that cannot work on that one small fucking planet here. So and that's a bit the idea behind thinking about if the whole way of our current life, that's more and more coming to an end. And what does it mean for us as people? So there, when you look at the people in the world, the top 1% gets richer and richer, and the one on the bottom end, there's more and more poverty, and the middle class becomes thinner and thinner.
Yeah,
and it's quite a crazy direction we are all developing. So, and it gives me a lot of concerns, and that's a little bit what it is around, or what it is about, the whole album. And even Andy wrote the other lyrics, so these are the goes in the same direction, but he has also put some very personal stuff about relationship. We have also some horror topics, you can say, some things like that. But the title of the record, that fits quite well actually to Feeding the Decline, and also the artwork. That's something that is a little bit full circle, you can say.
Now, speaking of the artwork, do I see over you? Is that like a painting of the album cover?
It's a painting. Yes. I can't just.
Nice. I can't just take it. Yeah, I caught a glimpse of that. Yeah, I caught a glimpse of that over your shoulder. I was like, is that on canvas?
Yeah. That's the front cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really an acrylic painting, I think, and that's the back cover. So we have an artist, Timon is his name, and it's a real painting. So I wanted to have a classic stuff, so that someone is really painting. So we have a lot of digital made cover artworks around, and quite a lot good ones. So but I was looking for some classic stuff. So I think hand painting, that's really cool, and that fits to the music. And it was quite interesting for me to work together with him, because it was really a bit of a journey. And there is a famous picture from a famous French painter called, I hope I speak it correct, Delacroix, from the French Revolution, from the 18th century, and that's exactly that. So the revolutionaries, they are on a hill with a flag, and that was a little bit the idea behind to do something like that on Mad Max. You
on
can
Mad
say
Max.
so.
Okay, yeah, I get it.
So we played a little bit around with that. So we watched a lot of pictures, photographies from the ruins of the First and Second World War. Some really dark stuff actually, and that's how it develops. So we really worked on the artwork until we find the way how to do it. So, but I have to put the honor to him. So his first idea, when he has heard the title Anthem of the Lost and read some lyrics, so he came up with that idea of that painting of the French Revolution, and from there it develops.
You know what I like about everything that Andy just talked about is, as metalheads, we always have this negative stigma attached to us when people find out that we're metalheads and stuff like that, or whether you're in a metal band or whether you listen to heavy metal or anything like that. The amount of intellectual tie-in to everything that you just, whether it's where you guys got the inspiration for the name of the band, or where you got the inspiration for the album cover, talking about the Mars and all that stuff, and then bringing in the French Revolution and all this, everything ties in together, and there was a thought process behind it. It's not just because heavy metal is just noise, and anyone can get up there and do it. Well, no, you can't. Not anyone can get up there and do it, and then no one can just throw these album covers together, because we cover album covers on here a lot. We are huge fans of not just the music, but the cover art, the stories behind them, and everything else. So the entire description, the amount of thought, Andy, that you just told us about, I absolutely love that. And I wish more people would take into the account that we're not all just a bunch of mindless metalheads listening to a bunch of noise, So I love that. I absolutely love it.
Thank you, cool. Yeah, we metalheads are not complete idiots, aren't we? So
right.
Even if our teachers wanted to tell us, but yeah, that's
right.
But that's I think that's a way of making music, to really think about and having a look to the world and everything. And even when you decide to do some fantasy stuff, so that's you also have to put a lot of thinking into to make a good story out of that. So even if I prefer lyrics coming from the more reality side and also heavy music, I think it's difficult to have happy stuff inside. So there are some more happy sounding bands, but it has to fit. And when you playing in a hard thrash metal band, there's the German Tankards. They sing about drinking.
Right, Tankard, yeah.
That fits quite well.
Yeah.
But I think that has to fit together, and you have to think about it. And there are a lot of good lyrics and stories and things you can write. And
and I think people don't realize. Right. Yeah. And I think people don't realize how much talent it takes to take a story and cram it into a 3 to 5 minute song, and then whoever's listening to it know exactly what that musician is saying. That's something I don't think people kind of take into account a lot of times when they're listening to it or judging or whatever they want to do. Any of it that needs to be.
That's the problem.
Hey, this is it. And bringing that up too is like I never thought about this till I heard Ricky say it last night. He says, the metal community. He even said that. He said the metal community gets a lot of shit. He said, but you know what? If you go out to a crowd of metalheads, they're not going to care if you're Asian, if you're white, if you're trans, if you're gay. They don't give a shit because it's all you're at a show together and you're looking at the music and you're not there to cause conflict with anybody out there because y'all are all there for the same reason. And I thought, man, that's like pretty deep shit. I've never really thought about that, but once he did, I was like, man, yeah, I've never been to a show and be like, oh, look at it. Is that a guy or girl? I've never even because my eyes are on the stage. I don't give a shit, So,
yeah.
And I think that's kind of a cool way he put that. He's like, yeah, we don't, metal's never discriminated their fans to say, oh, well, you can't listen to this because you're gay, or you can't listen to this because you're Asian, or you can't listen because you're black. I mean, they never say that because they don't. If you think about it, we have over here in the States, we have some of the best bands with black lead vocalists. I mean, Howard Jones and John Witherspoon, and those guys are, Elias from Nonpoint. I mean, you got a lot of those guys that had been doing this stuff for 20 plus years, and in a time where they probably weren't accepted when they first started. So
I guarantee you they weren't when they first started. I guarantee you they weren't.
So I do think that was cool that he brought that up. So.
They are professional studies from universities around about the metal scene, and we're actually the most peaceful scene also. So we do not care what you said, Jason. We don't care about where you come from, whatever. And there is really not much aggression and violence among the people. Even of course, we listen to very aggressive music, but it has nothing to do with the behavior among the people. So, and that is also quite.
Well, we brought that up when there was a festival here that was there was a festival here a few years ago that was kind of a mixed artist, and there was a trampoline that happened, and it was a hip hop artist, I think. And we brought that up during the show. I said, you can go to that. Yeah, you can go to that and get trampled, or you can go to a metal show and get knocked down and they'll pick you back up.
Exactly. They will. They'll pick you up. Yeah, they do. Yeah. And it's kind of funny because, last year when we went to see, Testament and Exodus and Death Angel in Nashville, during, that one part of Exodus' set where they opened everything up and then they had the Wall of Death, they had that during the middle of the show, and at the very end of Exodus' set, Steve said, "Hey, take care of each other," and that's the funny thing is, everyone can come together in a venue, and everyone can let loose, participate in mosh pits, get knocked down, get picked back up, get crushed by a wall of death, and everybody still in that venue is looking after each other because everyone is there for the same thing. And Andy, you talked about how aggressive our music is, and what it is it's an outlet for us, and it's a way for like you as the artist, you can express your thoughts on like this, the way things are right now. You're just talking about the album, a lot of it dealing with the current state of everything that's going on around us. So, that's an outlet for us physically, and it's an outlet for you guys artistically, but that doesn't mean we're going to go out and do anything we shouldn't do. But we're able to express ourselves. Jason and I as the fans and you as the artist, we're able to express ourselves through our music. And like Jason said, I don't think a lot of people can get past what they hear and not what they're listening to at the same time. All they hear is how loud it can be and how aggressive it is, and then they're immediately going, "This is just junk. It's just noise. It doesn't mean anything." And they make a snap judgment, and then all of a sudden, we're just we're just outcasts, pariahs, whatever the hell you want to call us. So that's how we end up getting lumped together without realizing what we're trying to say or why we're trying to say it.
Yeah. And what also is very, very,
we're go ahead.
But also is very interesting with the metal scene is that every one of us is really much into the music. So we are no easy listeners. So you really take care about the music you hear. So I remember when I was young, I was really with a lot of effort translating the lyrics as you start in school. For us, of course, a little bit more difficult as most of the stuff is in English language, and you start learning it in school. So at that time, there was no Google Translate around, so you really sit with a dictionary and translate word by word. But you just did it because you were interested in what the guys are singing about. And I think everyone in the metal scene is really into the music he is listening to. So and that's a big difference to I think pop music or whatever. I'm a little bit. I think we have a little bit to see what is with the next. What will happen with the next generations, let's say, of young people. That's quite interesting, because I think we three grew up with we listened to records. So we had an album and we listened to it from song 1 to 10. And now with Spotify, you pick songs easily. And I think the next generations maybe don't get used to a complete album with the whole concept and whatever. They are more picking songs, and that's quite interesting if young people in 10-20 years, if they will listen to the music the same way we did. But I think inside the metal community, it will always be the thing that the people will take care about the things they're listening to, and really fans of their bands and wanted to know everything about them and what they're singing about. So I hope that will remain, that the metal fans will really are into their music they're listening to.
Yeah, Ricky kind of touched on that last night too. He said, people nowadays don't realize how to properly listen to a vinyl. You take your record player out, you flip it to side A or side 1, whatever it said, and you put the needle down on the first track, not in the middle. You put it on the first track and you let it play all the way through. And then you flip it and you do the same thing on the other side. And I was like, and I said, he's got a point, because people probably don't listen to it that way. You
had to do the same thing with tapes. So
exactly,
you had to do the same thing.
But, and you couldn't like skip. CDs came along when you could like skip through the songs or whatever. But I don't think you. To me, I don't want to hear the songs that's been released. I already know what they sound like. I wanted to hear the other stuff on there, because honestly, 9 times out of 10, my favorite song on the record is probably not one that they released.
That happens a lot.
Yes,
that happens a lot.
But as far as Jason?
Oh no, I was just going to go into the next question. If you got a comment, you can go ahead.
I just want to say that there's in other music scenes they're a little bit changing. So I know from the hip hop scene that they are going more to releasing just songs. And some things I'm also looking a bit with some concerns too. Just like Godsmack, they announced that this is now their last record, and that they in future will only release, maybe here and there a song. So we will see. But I prefer.
When he broke that, we kind of talked about that on the show, and my thinking is like, after so long, you have so much of a catalog, you're going to leave out songs that people want to hear. So, I mean, you can only, like I said, the venue kind of says, hey, you got to be done by midnight. Well, I can't play 4 hours for you. Sorry, So it's kind of like something's going to get left out. And I think that with that thinking, he may be able to say, oh, well, I can get almost all of the hit songs in this 2.5 hours or whatever. And everybody be happy. If he keeps coming out with music, then that's just going to keep pushing that back, because you gotta go out and perform to promote the new album. So, So I kind of get that. So in a way, but in a selfish way, I'm like, no, I want new music. But you got to do what's best for you at the time. I mean, Godsmack's not getting younger for sure. So,
or maybe they feel that they have nothing more on the pocket.
Well, maybe that's true. I mean,
could be.
Yeah, and in mine and Chris's opinion, they probably should have just left with the last album, because that was probably one of their best ones. The one before crap, I just forgot the name of it.
When Legends Rise.
Yeah, when Legend Rise. Yeah, when that album came out, I thought that was one of their best pieces of work since they've started. And then the newer album's okay. It was more of an older Godsmack sound, but when Legends Rise I think it kind of brought out the best in all of those guys. And to me, you can't top that. You might as well just do what he's doing. So
I kind of.
If you can say that after 20 plus years and say that's my best album, that's a pretty good feat, I think. So you keep getting better and better, because I've heard albums. We're big fans of Angelus Apatrida, and I think that's a band that, like, every time they come out with a new album, I'm like, how do they keep topping themselves? It's like, how the fuck do they do this? It's like, and you were talking about earlier about how you couldn't find music. That's one of the reasons. I've said this on the show before, but just want to let you know that's one of the reasons me and Chris started this, because we used to set out, in the backyard and chill by a fire and listen to music every weekend, and a band come on called Onslaught. And I'm like, who the hell is this? And we look it up, and it's Onslaught, and they've been around since the 80s, and we never fucking heard of them. I'm like, how the hell have we not heard of this band?
This is quite funny. I discovered Onslaught myself just 3 months ago. That's exactly the same. Also, my friends told me, it's a band from the 80s. It's quite old.
Yeah.
Never heard of it. But it's really great stuff. Don't know why, but
it's crazy. It's crazy. So we thought it was like, okay, how many other bands do people not know about? I said, well, let's, and I talked to him. I was already doing a podcast on another topic. And I said, man, why don't you just come on? We'll do a podcast. We'll do a metal podcast, and we'll talk about whatever music we discover and share it with people. And that's kind of what we've been doing, is like, this is your guys' debut album. So we want to make sure that everybody knows Deimos Dawn's out there, and what you guys are about, and what to expect when they put on the CD or record or whatever they decide to buy and listen. But I think that's the cool thing about, what we do, is discovering new music. And I love that. Like, that's probably my favorite part of this. Of course, talking to bands is fucking awesome, because you never know what the future holds. So some bands 5-10 years from now are like headlining, Whacking or something. You're like, damn, those guys were on the show, so it's pretty cool to see these. It's pretty. I mean, it really is cool. Like, we've seen a couple of bands from the time we've talked to them till now. They've grown so much, and I'm just like, man, it is so awesome to see these guys doing so well. And we can't all be Metallica, but we all got to make a living. So,
right.
Yeah, that's a really.
But I want
to really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of podcasts do that. I think a lot of podcasts are out there trying to get the interviews with, Metallica and Megadeth and Armored Saint and all these bands that everybody already knows. And I'm like, no, I want people to discover new stuff, because these bands are getting older and they're on their way out, and people need to find a band to kind of take that spot once they're done. So
we're trying to I mean, we're trying to the best we can to make sure that people know where the next generation is going to come from. And,
Yeah.
you know, I know, like you say, you personally have been in the scene since the 90s, but, you know, Deimos Dawn, you guys have been together since 17, and you guys are just now getting the first album out. So, but, you know, so you know, your guys' band is kind of what we look for. You know, someone, you know, a band that's, you know, maybe 1 or 2 albums into their career, so we can spread the word the best we can. You know, because like Jason said, everyone knows the stories of the Big Four and you know the names like that. So we want to try the best we can to make more bands, you know, the household name. So that is one of the cool things that we do here, and we think it's one of the things that kind of sets us apart.
Yeah, but that's really cool. That's a really great mission, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we definitely don't want heavy metal.
So
We
I wanted
don't
to ask
we don't
this,
want
you
heavy
guys
metal to go anywhere. So.
right. Well, I don't think it's going anywhere, but
Well, I know it's not going anywhere, but I mean, we
But
want
I wanted to ask
to
that.
just make sure. We just want to make sure.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We want to put it in concrete. So,
Yeah,
I want to ask that. So
absolutely.
you guys formed in 17. You guys formed in 17, but just now put out the debut album. What was the barrier there for getting that out?
The barrier to get it out. So we are maybe starting earlier. So we are playing in bands since beginning of 90s or mid of 90s, and we 3 guys on the instruments. We are playing we know each other since teenagers, so coming from the same small town.
Oh, okay.
And really learning together, making music. So we started our first bands together in that small but really great local scene we had in that small town. So you were on the stage, or you were among the guys in front of the stage. But so it was a really great
Right.
small scene, and so yeah, we grew up there, and we played in a lot of bands together and with others. But none of us had, like many other musicians, none of us had to really break through with the music. So we released together and with other band, a lot of music over the years. And I myself was working in the music business, in the shooting the Wacken open air and clips for Creator in a music film company and stuff like that. But with our, as it was in that time, so as many people, so we had never really a big deal. Our bass player Matze, he was playing in quite known in Germany, known hardcore band, so he was quite a lot around. And our drummer, he's really playing professional drums, so he is playing in a lot of different bands, also in the let's put it in the entertainment sector, just to live from it, to be able to live from it. But in 2017, I said, guys, look, I think we have it still in us. We put everything together we grew up with, and we are making our version of a perfect thrash metal album. So that perfection is actually not available, and it doesn't mean necessary that it is for any other person something perfect or amazing, whatever. But for ourselves, we said everything what we would like to listen to, we put together now with our heart, blood, sweat, everything. And that's what we do. And then actually everything worked quite well. And Mark, our singer, who was had obviously a professional career behind him, was singer at Morgoth, the famous German death metal band, and doing in Insidious Disease as an all-star band with they do every 10 years a record, let's say. And he listened, so I know him since many years, as we both had our time in the film movie business. And he listened to it and said, great stuff. I want to do it. And we made a rehearsal in, I think, 2019, where we had 5-6 songs at that time. And he was impressed. And so we put it together, and the same actually with Andy Brinks, the former Sodom guitar player, which is since the 90s a very good friend of mine. So he said, "Oh, I would like to be involved. I will write the lyrics and do the vocal production." And so every piece fell on its place. So it was really, really great. And we recorded actually the album before we got a record deal. We just did it on our own, and Corny, also here in Germany, quite a well-known producer, did for Sodom, for example, the Decision Day, which was a quite good record. He said, meanwhile, he's also today he's also a very good friend. He did the production, and so everything come together, and then it was quite fast to get a record deal out of that. So we actually, with the announcement, we go into studio, and I think we released the first song, so just a YouTube video. So everything after that, everything moved quite fast. So the record was actually ready in 21, and then it just took time until it was released. I think we got the master in January 22, and from them it was fixing the deal, the half year for vinyl. So the production time actually for the hardware, that was that took a lot of time. But at the end, then of course there was a lot to deal with all the COVID stuff also, right, as everyone had. And finally, this April we had release day, but it was a long journey. But for us, actually, the time until we went into the studio, bringing the band together and writing the songs and everything, that was really, we felt it was quite fast. So it was a good flow. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
So it says on here. No, that's perfect. Yeah. So it says on here that Mark didn't kind of come on with you guys until 19. Was that just because of his other projects, or?
No, we just when we started the band in 17, we didn't know who could sing on it. I had actually at one point I had Mark's voice in my mind, but not his death metal vocals he had at Morgoth or in Insidious Disease. So I had in my mind I remember the later Morgoth records. So when he had a more variable voice, let's say. So when it's about thrash metal voice, I'm more the Tom Araya, Tom Angel Ripper fan. So that, for instance, Joey Belladonna, that's not my personal taste. So I know that many people love Anthrax with Joey Belladonna. I'm more the John Bush guy.
There you go. There you go. Same. Yeah, same. The John. We always thought the John Bush era Anthrax is so underrated. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
No disrespect to Joey Belladonna, of course, yes, but we think the Bush era Anthrax is very underrated. So yeah, we're right there on the same page with you.
John brought so much more diversity to the band, I think, with vocal styles than Joey could do. So,
and
exactly
I think
my opinion. Yeah,
and I think I think I read somewhere where even Joey was like, "Yeah, I can't sing some of his songs because I can't sing the way he sings." So I think Joey Belladonna has even admitted to the fact that he kind of not word for word coming out of his mouth, but I think he kind of admitted that he can't really hold a candle to John Bush in certain aspects, because it's definitely not that Joey Belladonna can't sing. That's not the case at all.
No,
So,
no, no.
but
But yeah,
I get where you're going with their different styles, though. I totally get it.
yeah. So I just prefer the more, let's say, a darker voice style. And that's and also I really love the what you called diversity, and so like a Tom Araya, you have that screams, but you have also that more spoken word stuff inside. So really variable things, and I really had there in Germany. For me, there are in my mind there are two singers which can do stuff like that. One is Tom Angelripper at Thorum, and the other obviously also one of the old guard, and Mark. And so I asked him, basically. I asked him, hey, what do you think? And for him, it was also that Insidious Disease, what his was his only band he was singing. It's more that every 2 years he goes for a week to Norway, and or every year maybe a week to Norway, and then they rehearse a little bit, but it's not having a permanent band and having time together and meeting every week to play music and that kind of stuff. So and it's now the way that we are his home base, let's say, and we are friends, and we go in the pub, and so that's also local friendship, let's say. And so he was really the idea, having a local band starting to make music together more regularly. That was really charming for him, and also he loved the music, so that was quite easy. And really, friendship is some really important for us. So for us, as we other three know us, each being teenagers, so we are just really close friends. And it was also very important to integrate Mark to that small community, because I don't want to spend time with people I don't like. I had a band.
It's true. I mean, it's true.
But yeah,
It's true.
So I had in my past. I had also some time a band. We were a lot around with playing live gigs, but some of the members were not, were not in love with the other one, and there were always tension among the people. So I don't want to have this. For me, it's really also important to of course, music is priority, but as well friendship, to have just a good time together. And I think it's also something you can hear that when people play together very well. Because we all may know the stories of bands like Venom, who said that they fight against each other on every rehearsal, but no, not for me.
That's one of the crazy stories. Like, I hate you so much, I'm gonna name my band Venom Inc. You know, just to throw it in your fucking face. But that's all. It's like we've talked about a lot of. I think like the thing with like a lot of bands now is like the times have changed so much. It's like you have more to do than just in rock and roll and metal than to just go have sex with random girls and drink and coke it up and all this stuff like they used to do in the 80s and 90s. You have people now that's like, oh man, I just go on the tour bus and play video games, or they do different stuff for their pastimes. And I think that may be a lot of why a lot of bands get along so well together now than they used to. You don't have that alcohol barrier and stuff in there affecting the relationships, which is pretty cool. Sometimes I see these bands that have been around together, for so long and had the same original members. I'm like, how in the hell did they go, 25, 30 years with no change in members? That's crazy. Especially during that era. But you brought up Mark, and I think that Mark has been in a kind of a who's who of death metal bands as far as the Encyclopedia Metallum lists them there. And Leopard Colony kind of stuck out to me because I'm not a big death metal fan, but I like at least 5 of those bands that he had been in. I knew I'd heard of, and I thought, man, this guy's been around a lot of death metal. Yeah. So how did he kind of transform his vocal style into the thrash? Was it easy for him, or was it a little bit more difficult, or did he feel like it was a relief to not have to go that deep anymore?
Yeah, I think that was for him pretty clear what is to do, as he had. So when we discussed in the beginning what kind of starting with the first rehearsal, so he already there when he tried, so he was already familiar with the songs just on an instrumental basis we have sent him. So just there he has done it on the right way. But when we discussed how we want to arrange the vocals on the record, so he came actually up with the other stuff he had done in the past, which was not that pure death metal voice. So the last 2 Morgoth records, especially the last one, was more Killing Joke influenced. So that was actually no death metal, and the Morgoth fans were not very happy with that. So that's not their. I Feel Sorry for the Fanatic is the name of the record. So you should give it a try. It's quite interesting, but it's not death metal. So for Morgoth, it wasn't a success at the time. But he had other hardcore bands like Power of Aggression, and we were pretty clear together that this is the direction we want to go to. And Andy Brinks, he's a very. Oh, we lost Jason.
Oh, yeah, that happens. It's been a little. It's been raining here this morning, so it kind of plays a little haywire with the Wi-Fi sometimes. So yeah, the weather gets a little.
Hey, just so you guys know, I'm watching it on YouTube. So if I go away, you guys are still talking. So don't. Just keep going. Okay. It's just a stream. It's just StreamYard. So
yeah.
And Andy Brinks he's a really, really good vocal producer. So he also, after his time as a guitar player at Sodom, he has produced one of their records, the self-titled one, Sodom in 2006, or the Black Album of Sodom. And there was a really step under the quality of the vocal arrangement, and so also Mark was quite happy to involve Andy for that, and that was quite really amazing thing. And when we were together in the studio working on the vocals, we were just from the beginning on the same page, and we played a lot around in with that melodies or that hooks inside that hard voice and screaming and stuff. But we really came really fast to the result. And from the beginning it was clear to us. And as Mark had that examples in his past from Morgoth death metal to hardcore with the bands he was singing in. So we had already the example. We could say, okay, that's the direction, and he could deliver from the beginning. So there was actually no finding process.
Nice. Yeah. Which I think he did a great job transforming it over myself, but that's just my personal opinion. So,
but yeah, no, absolutely, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
But now, and that's one of the things when I guess I did the album review, I think. So whenever we did the album review, I was actually saying, the first thing that came to my mind was creator. So it's kind of funny that you brought that up in the beginning. because when I listened to it, I said, "Oh, this has got a Creator vibe to it." So,
and then I also compared.
And then I also told Chris earlier. I said it's also kind of reminds me if Lemmy Kilmister was singing for Testament or Exodus.
Okay, cool. That's a great comparison. I personally can't say. I actually read that also. The comparison with Lemmy I've read it is surprising me a little bit, but I can understand. But of course we didn't think about to copy someone.
Right. No.
We thought only to get the best out of Mark's portfolio, and that just quite worked well, and we are all very happy with that. So it was really, really cool, and also when we play live, that works quite well, and he is can really do all that different styles with his voice, and that was really something we were looking for, and that's what we think one of the big qualities of the record, that we have his voice on it and with the variable style. So that's really good.
Oh, I think Jason did you lag for a second, Jason?
Oh no, I'm actually trying to find the review when I did it, so to kind of see if there was anything.
Oh, okay, all right.
I didn't really cover, so actually I think it's right here. So
okay, I got you.
Yeah, it was actually I could probably easier to pull it up on the OneNote than it is.
There you go.
Do all that. So, but anyway, neither here nor there. But anyway, yeah, we don't ever make those comparisons to try to tell people like, oh, this sounds just like Creator or anything. We just try to give them a vibe. Like if you like Creator, you're probably going to like this band. Yeah. Because a lot of times people will be like, well, what do they sound like? I'm like, well, just put it on and discover it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like what I want to tell them, but because I think when you bring it to that level, every I think I lagged a little bit there.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, but I was saying if I'm listening to Deimos Dawn and then Chris is listening to Deimos Dawn, I may get something different from it than he does,
right?
Because people have a different way of listening to their music, and they take different stuff from it. So, one of the songs that still, one of the lyrics in one of those songs, I've only listened to this album maybe like 4 times, but there's a lyric in one of those songs, and I can't remember if it's Final Illusion or the Feeding the Decline, but I can't remember. But there was something about a man in a 3-piece suit, and I automatically think of our government when that came on.
That's Unholy Water. That's a lyric from Andy Briggs, and very honestly, I can't tell you what it is about.
But when I heard it, I was thinking, I said, well, hell, that's like a government entity right there, because they're running around a 3. And like, to me, I always try to describe people because they don't really know older like cartoon references or whatever, but I know we're kind of near the same age, I think. So in our 40s, so we kind of probably remember. But there was an old cartoon where you always seen like the wolf dressed up like the sheep, you know what I'm saying? And then he takes it off. And I always think I said, and I always think that's our government. They're running around in sheep's clothing, but they're wolves trying to take over shit. So
absolutely.
It is like that always and everywhere, and in every government of every country, and I think that's the same. I read the lyrics, especially on that one. I haven't discussed what was his idea behind. So of course we have most of the songs we were discussing what is the actual content or idea behind, but especially on that one. But I understand it actually the same way as you do. That's the how you put it, the wolf in the sheep.
Wolf in sheep's clothing. Yeah.
So when you brought up Andy Brings was associated with Sodom, correct? Is he the one that?
Yes, he was guitar player of Sodom in the 90s. So the records, Tapping the Vein. I don't know how familiar you are with the Sodom records, but he was there, I think, from 91 to 94, and Tapping the Vein and Get What You Deserve are the two records, and it's really a cool story for me as a fan, because actually he brought me to start guitar playing. And funny thing is that later he really became a very, very good friend of mine. So and the story was just, I was a huge Sodom fan as a kid, and they had in 1990 a record called Better Off. That was a quite commercial, a little bit, so in the field of thrash metal, it was a quite not so hard record, very little softer melodic approach, and as a kid it could be hard enough. So I was a little bit disappointed about that one. And then came new guitar player Andy Brings, and then came the Tapping the Vein record in 92, and it really blew me away. So I was just fucking hell, that's really cool stuff. That was exactly the one I wanted to listen to, and I thought, and also Andy Brings as a new guitar player who he wrote also the song. So that really was for me the start of saying, hey, I want to become a guitar player. So
nice.
That was the initial thing to buy a guitar to start. And only 1 year later, 1 or 2 years later, there was the Christmas metal meeting. So with a tour with Motorhead headlining, and then with Sodom, Creator, and I think of 4 bands, I can't remember, but Sodom and Creator. And during one of the bands, I was with my friends. We were all 15, 16 years old. We were just listened to a band, and some of my friends said, "Hey, look over there. That's Andy Brings over there." So he was just among the people and was also watching the band before he went to stage later. And in the time, my friends were still discussing what to do now. I go and and that was actually the start of our friendship, because he was really cool. So he was talking to me, and at that time there was no smartphone, there was no email address, even that was not available. So but he gave me a almost CD of their upcoming record at the time, Get What You Deserve, and later was a signing session. And I went back at home, picked all the vinyl records I had, and went there, and that was actually the start. And afterwards, from every band demo I recorded with the bands that I had as a teenager, I always sent him a copy. And after he left Sodom, he did the same with me. So then he also did new music and formed new bands. And then as also I become more and more an adult person, there was a real friendship developing. And in 2006, actually, we played together. So with his band at the time, the Tracy Lords, who had, I think, 2 or 3 records at Roadrunner Records. So we played as their support. So for me, that was really a full circle story. Even then, in in 2006 actually, when I thought, wow, that was my idol, and now I'm here with my band and supporting them. And the more cool is it today that he is partially producing our album today and being involved with the lyrics. So it's quite a cool story. So I have to remember myself from time to time how cool it is that one of my idols as a guitar player, my big influences when I was a kid, that he is now writing the lyrics for the album of my band. So it's really a unique story, I would say.
There's a lot of like we kind of gotten. We went to a podcast expo a few months ago, and we kind of got a little starstruck with some of the people that came through there.
We did, yeah. I know I did when Jason was talking about how he went to go see Ricky Rackman up in Nashville last night. Ricky was actually at the expo, and he wasn't, because he had his own little booth set up like one aisle over from where our table was, and we could actually see him. And the day before, when we went up to get when we went to get our booth set up, he was getting his booth set up, and we stopped by and talked to him for a second. Told him we were big fans and everything and all that good stuff. Well, he wasn't on our schedule of everybody who was going to come by and interview with us, because all of our interviews were 15 minutes long, because there were so many people there. There were so many other podcasts there. There's so many people. So everyone had a certain amount of time. So all of our interviews were 15 minutes long, and Ricky wasn't on our itinerary. Well, at one point, Jason had got up and went over and talked to him and said, "Hey, man, if we're like right over there. So, I mean, if you're not doing anything later, if you're up to it, if you just want to stop by." And he took time out of his day and came over and sat and talked with us. And the funny thing is, he was only like at our table for like 10 minutes, but the whole time I'm sitting there, like I'm sitting here, Jason's in the middle, and then Ricky's. So, he was only, like I say, he was only there like 10 minutes, but I'm sitting at the end of the table looking down going, Jesus Christ, I used to watch this guy on TV like 20 some odd years ago. And now he's sitting at the same table on our show. Just so I kind of geeked out on that. And then when Jack Gibson from Exodus sat down with us too. So, I mean, I was kind of like, oh my God, so, but I mean, so I can,
what I was going to say was, it was so cool that you had all these big names, but they seemed like they were just down to earth, man. They didn't like
everyone was so cool.
They weren't like, hey, I'm this big star asshole, you treat me with respect or anything like that. It was just like, we're talking to you right now. It's just like, we're just talking, and I think that's what I like about the show too, is I don't try to get, I mean, we do ask a lot of questions, but we try to keep it as laid back as possible. We don't want to be out here drilling you with like a 60-minute episode or something, but we just kind of go with the flow and see what pops up. But yeah, I think it's we kind of get where you're coming from, though, to see someone that you kind of looked up to and now they're producing your albums. That's a pretty big deal, man. That's pretty cool.
Sometimes, it's definitely. Sometimes I just read it. I read the biography of Brian Johnson from AC/DC, which is really the Lives of Brian, which is really a funny book. I really can suggest to read it. It's really cool. And one story that is the opposite experience, unfortunately for him, because he was on tour with Chuck Berry. And at the last day on the tour, he put all his courage together and asked him if he could have an autograph to sign something. And Chuck Berry said, I only sign one time a day. And unfortunately, today I already had signed one venue. So no, I can't.
Man.
There are some bad examples. But nevertheless, so also a very, very cool story that you had the chance to meet Ricky that way. So really great. it's cool.
Well, I think fans get a little bit too eager with that point though too, is because I know like I came from a wrestling world before I got into doing all this stuff. So as a pro wrestler, you see a lot of these guys going through the airports for layovers and stuff, and these fans are like rushing up to him trying to get autographs. He's like, "No, I got to catch this flight, dude. I don't have time." It wasn't like they were trying to be a dick; they just don't have time to do that in between layover flights, and I don't think fans can understand, like, hey, if I seen, if I see Ricky Ratman out at dinner somewhere, I'm not going to go up to him and tap him on the shoulder. Hey man, can you sign it? Can you drop your steak for a minute and sign this? I mean, that's just kind of rude, It's like, I think fans need to pick their spot too. I don't think they can just run up and expect a star to drop what they're doing. And, usually if I see someone out like that, I usually talk to him just like I'm talking to you, and I'm just like, hey man, how's it going? Hey man, great album, whatever, nice to meet you. And if it comes up, they, I've had them. I actually had them say, hey, you want me to sign something? Oh yeah, sure. But I think it's because how you approach it. You know what I mean? You can't just run up to them and say, here, sign this. I mean, you want to try to build up a conversation. You want to kind of build up a conversation to kind of see where they're at, their mindset's at, before you start asking them for stuff. I mean,
I did.
They may not be in the mindset of wanting to do that sort of thing. So
I had something like that happen at the Nashville airport one day. We were dropping the kids off to go see their dad, and I was walking up one of the concourses, and I look over to my left, and I was like, holy shit, that's the bass player for Disturbed. So he was like sitting there like kind of off in a corner, and I looked over, and he just so happened to look up as I'm kind of walking up the hallway. So I'm looking over at him, and he kind of looks up. So I gave him a nod, and he gave me a nod back. And I walk over, and all I did was I just shook his hand real quick. I said, I'm a huge fan. I said, I've been a fan since Union Underground. I just, want to thanks for the music and everything. I didn't ask for a picture. I didn't ask for an autograph. I just shook his hand. I said, I'm a huge fan. I said, and he said, thanks. And I walked off. And I mean, it's just, because like Jason said, you got to pick your spots, and it's like, I probably never have a chance to like see him one-on-one again. So I just want to at least say hi and say thanks. So that's all I did. And I just kind of walked off and let him be. So
I made one crazy experience, but that was my fault. I was because of your Machine Head shirt. So I was involved in the production of the what's it called, Elegies DVD. So live gig of Machine Head 2005 in London. I was one of the camera guys there, and also cared a bit over of the production. And we had a backstage party afterwards, and I had to say that I had maybe one or two beers too much in my head, and I went to Phil Demmel, and I thought I'm very funny, but maybe he was not in the right mood, because I went to Phil Demmel and said, "Hey, are you the keyboarder from Machine Head?" And he went nuts. Wow. He got totally upset with me and said, "A fucking keyboarder!" And he was really angry. And I said, "Okay, maybe I go a step back now." But later I had a CD from my band at that time with me, and later I went back to him and say, "And hey Phil, that's a CD of my band. I would like to give it to you." And he looked on it, and you are the keyboard player. I said,
so he got you back.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's kind of it. You know what's funny about that story is I bet Phil Demmel remembers that and tells it somewhere.
I bet he does too.
One guy came up to me at a party and asked me, "Oh, fucking keyboard player."
Yeah. I bet.
But yeah, but I mean, to think about it though, like, how many times would somebody come up and do that?
Maybe when you will meet him, maybe in a show or somewhere in future, please ask him for me if he will.
I will. Hell yeah, absolutely will.
Yeah, that would be awesome to have him on the show.
Yeah,
like I said, we tend to try to stay within our reach, I guess, as far as that kind of thing goes. We don't want to overstep into Machine Head or Disturbed or anybody like that. We try to stay within our means.
Yeah. But yeah, one day, if we ever have the chance, I'm definitely going to remember to bring that up. I absolutely am.
Yeah,
I promise you, I'll remember to bring that up.
well, I think Andy, you said something about you had done some movie stuff before.
Yes, I was in the so my step in music business, as I said, when I was playing. So the first phase of for me as a playing in bands was we didn't had the big breakthrough and having a worldwide deal like today. So but I'm totally happy with that. So I had the chance to play in a lot of local heroes. But my step into the music business was then in working in the music film side. So I worked for a company who produced the DVDs for the Wacken Open Air for with Full Force Open Air, also a famous one in Germany, and also the clips or the videos for a lot of bands like Creator, like Machine Head. We did the Slipknot live show. 6 Feet Under, a lot of different stuff. So, and I had the chance to meet a lot of my heroes back then. So, and the most famous thing for me was that I was part of the Sodom Lords of Depravity DVD. So which features the complete Sodom history, where we really interviewed every of the 20 members they had through the year, and it's a very great history DVD at that time. So that was maybe for me personally my biggest achievement at that.
Well, hell, you've had a lot of achievements.
Right.
He's had a lot of them.
Yeah, I think it's interesting.
I'm really thankful for that. So a lot of things.
You may be like sorry, you may be like the third person we've talked to that actually did some kind of behind the scenes video stuff for musicians, and then actually became, in a band. I think Drew Fortier, we were talking to him back at the Rocket Pod.
Expo,
he kind of started out doing a Bang Tango documentary, and then wound up playing in the band because
he was in the band.
So he wound up, hey, you've been following us, you know our stuff, get on stage. So that's how he got the job, and then now he's playing the Lucid with Dave Ellefson. So he's definitely moving up. But I think that's cool how those things happen. It's just like we talk to different people and they're like to have similar stories like that. I think that's kind of cool that you're able to and plus I think like with the movie and music business, it's kind of like, well, you don't have, you could be 70 years old and still do this stuff. I mean, it's not like it's not like working in a factory and you have to quit at 65 because you done killed yourself. But I think it's cool that it didn't really, that's one of the few things that I love about the music and movie business, because I'm in the movie business as well. I'm not a star by no means, but I do some stuff in the movies. But I think that's what's interesting about it is like you don't have to be 18 or 20 or anything to do these things. It's like there's a role and a place for everybody, which was cool, and I like that.
So for me, many things happened actually by chance. But
right.
We have a German saying, I don't know how to translate. But you have to bring yourself in the position to have luck. Let's say so.
Exactly.
And the same was with that with my time in that movie business. Then because we just played a show with my band at that time, and the director of that company, he was just in the audience, And he liked it really much, and he said, "I have guys. I would like to produce a video clip with you guys, and for you guys." And he did, and that we worked quite well together doing that. And so he offered me a job, and that's how that came. I didn't apply to for that job or something. So it just happened fluently.
Right.
Let's say.
Yeah. But I mean, we kind of grew up at a time where you had a producer or somebody in a club and seen you play, and then they was like, "Hey, we want to sign you guys," you know. And it wasn't like it is now, where you know you could, like you said earlier, you could throw your video on YouTube or Twitter or something like that, and some executives see it and be like, "Oh, we got to sign these guys," you know. They actually had to go to the clubs and listen to these guys play. So, and which I think Ricky kind of brought that up last night because he owned the Cat House. Of course, you had the Cat House, the Viper Room, and all that stuff out in LA. So all these bands and producers would go there to listen to all these bands, and that's how they sign people. You know, but yeah, they definitely things have changed for. I think in some ways for the better, and like you said, some ways it's kind of a curse, I guess. But yeah, because I think it kind of creates an oversaturation sometimes, you know, with the way things are now.
The other thing is, especially with the quality of music. So the good thing is that everyone can actually produce a record with a certain quality of sound today, quite cost efficient or easy. So a lot of stuff is actually created in the living room today, and that is actually good, because in my younger times I would have dreamed that. So we made an 8-track demo with a really poor sound because we didn't have money for a good studio, and all the things musicians of my generation went through. And today you can easily make a very a good sounding record, but danger is because all of the nice tools you have, you can correct the timing problems of your drummer, you can pick the guitar sound of James Hetfield, you can do this and you can that. At the end you come to the situation that many products have a artificial touch and sound very equal. And I think at some point this went into a better direction, and you have to think about what you want to do. And I'm really a fan of course you need to use today all the digital tools and to record your record on analog is a very difficult thing and not necessary, but the question is how you used it. So to correct everything and making the voice right with auto tune, or especially on the drums. So many records today using actually a drum computer software today. Because it really sounds great, and I use it myself for songwriting at home, but I would never ever record a record like that. So we really used in the studio an 80s Sonar drum kit to have that vintage sound. So that was really important for us to do that. But many bands are satisfied by using all that artificial stuff. So a famous example, and for me a really big disappointment, was the announcement of I always speak it wrong. Annihilator from Canada.
Oh, Annihilator, yeah.
Annihilator, yeah. Just Waters Annihilator, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when they announced that since the end of the 90s, he is using a drum computer. So if you make music like Fear Factory maybe is not the best example, but if you make music which has a sample artificial style and you use a drum computer because it's obvious that it is a drum computer, then it's okay for me, because then that cold future sound and synthetic drums really fit to that, like in the IBM music or stuff like that. But EBM music. But for bench with actually have a are a natural band with a real drummer, with a real guitar player, you cannot use a drum computer. So that's ridiculous. Also, I don't like that. So as a help to in a process, no problem with that. But I think if you really want to create something unique, it's necessary to find your own sound, and that you cannot achieve that by using things out of the software tools. So,
Well, I mean,
but it's difficult today because it is so easy to use that, and it's such a great help. I think you need to find the best compromise to generate something really unique sounding, and that's a little bit of a danger that get lost today.
well, and I artist, you would want to be able to. I mean, yeah, you can create whatever, like you say, you can create whatever sound you want in a studio and put it on an album. But I mean, are you able to do it? Are you able to translate it to the stage? And if you can't, I mean, are you going to get exposed? So I mean, I would like to think you would want, you would want to be as close to authentic on stage as something that you put out for people to buy. So
yeah.
Well, I think that's what I was about to say. I feel like you're going to have a super great sound guy if you're doing that kind of recording. To do, you got to have a really good sound guy to do live shows to make it sound even similar to that. So,
right.
Yeah, but that's important. So for us, that was really also the sound of the record has a concept behind. So of course,
right.
It makes no sense purely sounding like an 80s record. But I really wanted to have natural sound. So it started actually with that 80s Sonor drum kit from a kind of generation like Sodom's Chris Rich and a drum kit from the 80s. And we really compared the bass drum with another one to see what suits best. And actually, but it's also the live kit what our drummer Matthias is using. And that's for me the most, for especially for thrash metal. So the drums are really the basic thing. When something goes wrong there, the rest follows. So really the drumming and the sound of the drums, that's the most important thing for me for the sound and for a thrash metal record. When the result, if it's the way the guy is playing or the thing is sounding, if that goes wrong, then I think you cannot rescue it with a good guitar or something. So especially for thrash metal, this is very important. And also, but that is also the same thing with hard rock like AC/DC. So pure power comes actually also from a kind of precisement when you play. So especially on the rhythm side. So drums, bass, and the rhythm guitar, that really has to come to the point, to the same point, and hit the note exactly at the same time. That's really, that sounds hard. So many also young guys, even when I was younger, deal putting a lot of distortion in the guitar and thinking that makes a really a hard song even more hard and aggressive. But actually, it's the precisement. So when the bass drum and the bass guitar and the guitar, when they hit the note at this very precise on the same time, that actually hits you in the face. So that's what we were looking for, and that's also the advantage. What we three guys, Matthias, and me, what we three guys have, as we are playing for decades together actually. So we have the kind of blind understanding that we really play very tight together, as we just used to do that together since ages. And that's a really big advantage for us, I think. And that's also maybe one of the secrets of the sound, that it is really hard and aggressive.
Do you think you guys wouldn't have like the timing and everything, and you're talking about the precision. If you guys would have, because you say you've known each other since you were in your teens. If you guys would have been a band back then, do you think, even though you knew each other then and now, do you think you would have had the same kind of band if you would have done Deimos Dawn way back in the day? Or do you think the fact that everyone had a career and then you guys came together at the right time?
Yeah, that's a good question. We had actually a band like Deimos Dawn. So we also had a thrash band in the 90s together.
Okay.
We three guys. But today we just know more. Also how music works, and how you do arrangements, and also the thing with the timing. So I think as a young guy, you do many things by your natural talent, and you can be thankful if you have natural talent, of course. And but you don't know what you are doing, and also we didn't know what we were doing at the time, so we just did, and some of the stuff what we have done sounded good, I guess, and hope. And but today we make the music, of course, with our heart, actually. So that's what. But we know what we are doing, and we know where we have to put our attention to. And some of the things I learned later. So actually, I don't know if you know. The band I played with a drummer in the 2000er years, coming from a famous band, Project Pitchfork, as a German one, also a bit in a rock electronic side, and he teaches me a lot. He teach me a lot to also Matza, our bass player. So we had at that time a band together, a little bit sounding like Godsmack. So in that. And he actually teaches us to listen to the precisement, and to understanding why bands like AC/DC are that good, and why a drummer like Phil Rudd is a really good drummer. Even he is not playing any fills and everything. And when you are young, you think a drum kit need to have a 10-meter size. You just didn't understand, but I think that's the really nice thing today. We can put everything together, the things we have learned and the things we feel, and that's a big advantage. So if to answer your question, I think we weren't not able to create such a record at that time. So because we just were we just hadn't the knowledge of today, or maybe among with different circumstances, if you find someone which can give you some proper guidance, like many famous bands had when they was young, that they had very good producers which brought the best out of them, but we ourselves we didn't know that things at that time.
Yeah, it's funny, like you say that, because we just did one of our playlists a couple of weeks, about a month or so ago now, was Megaforce Records, and I think Megaforce Records, was like, to me, to think about the bands that were on that label that are still playing. That's just freaking amazing to think about, because they were not a big label, and and I think when you say that earlier about waiting until later, I think a lot of bands that we talk to do better, I think, in their 30s and 40s, because they've already had that experience. They know the business side, so they don't get screwed. You know what I mean? Because when you're young, you don't know these things, and lawyers can make it sound like you're getting a fucking deal and you're not. So, I mean, you can ask Chevelle about that. They made how many albums, and he said 50, many times they never made a cent.
Yeah, they had like 50 million. They've sold like
never made a sale, which is crazy to think.
But on the other side, sorry, Chris.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, I don't know how I was gonna say, I don't know how you sell 50 million albums worldwide and you didn't make any money. So yeah, somebody definitely got the shaft.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the other side, I think that sometimes it's quite funny how things are, how uniqueness got created, and sometimes when the musicians are young and those bands are young and unexperienced, they do mistakes in comparison to or what you would call is not correct, maybe in the way of playing something, which became actually then a style. So like a good example is actually Crater. So I had a talk with Wentor, the drummer, years ago, and I was asking him why he is playing. When you listen to the double bass drum of Creator, that's mostly he is playing. Put it in English. We say triolen, third note, so 1, 2, 3 per. So he's sorry, I try. So trials, could it be?
Triples?
Triples. Thank you very much. Triples is the right word. Yeah, triples. So he's playing triplets on the bass drum, or mostly. And I was asking him why. That was quite unusual. And he said, the reason is I just didn't know what I do. I hit the pedals as fast as I can, and it just sounds good. And then we did it that way. I didn't know that were triples. I just had no clue about it. And if someone would have explained, maybe said, when the guitar plays 18th or 8th notes or 16th notes, you cannot play triples. Maybe would someone explain to him, but as never one has done it, so he developed a unique style. So sometimes that really helps if you not had that perfect education and everything to create something really new.
Yeah.
Or one example is
become like Thomas
when you are in the area of Nashville. So even Johnny Cash was creating his sound because the band couldn't play faster. So and then that became a very, very unique style.
Yep. Not every.
Or you
not,
become
not,
Thomas
not
Hake
every.
from Meshuggah, drumming to bleed. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
and then he's like, I don't want to do this anymore because it's too much.
Yeah. Well, Thomas is like what, in his mid 50s, and he's like, I don't know how much longer I can play this damn song.
Yeah. That's a hell of a song to play on the drums, man. That's
well, and then to have
it typically takes a.
And isn't that song like 6 minutes long anyway? And he's like, he has to keep that beat
it's
the entire
pretty long.
like 6.5 minutes or something like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like I kept thinking, I said, man, he's like half octopus. The way I was listening when I was listening to that song, I'm like, dude, this damn drummer's half octopus, man.
Dude, he would almost have. You would think he'd almost have to be. Because I mean, you listen to it, it's like, how in the hell is he doing? And the funny thing is I've actually seen drum cam footage of him playing that song. And even though you're even watching it, you're like, I don't even know how the hell he's doing that. He just
right.
All you can do is shake your head. It's like that's inhuman right there. It's ridiculous.
It is, yeah.
But that's the thing, is not everybody has to play the instrument the exact same way every time, because then music would be boring. And you know, and the funny thing is like there's no telling where inspiration comes from. And even if it's something accidental, like Andy was just talking about, you didn't mean to create something that's unique to you, but now it's unique to you. So just run with it. It works. So just go.
Right. It kind of reminds me of Rob Rivera from Nonpoint. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Rob Rivera from Nonpoint. He sets his drum kit sideways on the stage. He doesn't set it facing forward. So, and his inspiration from that was Robert Sweet from Stryper. So, and that's when you think about it, he's like, oh, I want to turn my drum kit around. I'm like, no, dude, because you're like one of 3 drummers that play that way. So everybody knows you as a sideways playing drummer. So why would you change that? I don't. it's a very unique, I guess, a place of something. Sometimes as small as that, it makes a difference. Kind of reminds me of a story where Kevin said hidden one of the scenes. He spits gum in the trash can. Well, every time they were doing a take, he moved the trash can in a different location because he wanted it perfect. And I was just sitting there amazed at what the hell's this guy doing? And then somebody's like, oh, well, he's moving it to the position that he wants it because he wants the scene to be that perfect. Like the trash can had to be in a certain spot. I'm just like, wow, that's just like unreal to me to think that, because I would have never been like, oh, well, let's move this trash can to a different location. But I mean, that's an art to what you do, though.
Yeah, that's
so,
dedication right there.
Yeah. So Andy, we know you're the guitar player, so we always have to ask this from our guitar players. So what is your favorite guitar?
My favorite guitar, I actually play on the whole album was so I played the usual shape, and so standard one. So currently I play a Schecter. That's that one. And but my favorite guitar is a Hamer Californian. From the whole album is recorded with that guitar. It's I bought it in '97, so I really being around with that for many years.
Oh wow!
And I think that was a Wolf Hoffmann from Accept, was a signature guitar, and then in the '80s. So Hamer today is not the same brand as it was at that time. I think today it's a bit of selling quite cheap products, but at that time it was really one of the competitive big brands, and that I took the Hamer Californian as my favorite guitar. Yeah.
Nice,
very nice. Hang on a sec, Jace. You got to catch up. Like I say, it's spotty sometimes when it rains around here. Sometimes the app takes a second to catch up. So you're good now, Jason.
Oh well, what happens is the rain. I didn't realize this till I talked to a friend of mine that does this stuff. He said the rain creates a static in the cables. And like if you don't go out, you have to go down and like unhook, like once it quits raining, and then rehook it, and it takes it out. I don't know how that works, but honestly, but that's what he says. So I'll take his word for it since he's a cable guy. But no, I was asking, do you think the guitar quality from the '90s do you think it got better, or do you think it's kind of gotten where they don't last as long now, or how do you feel about the quality of guitars from the '90s till now?
I don't have enough guitars to can give you a proper answer from the statistics point of view, but I would say you find today and in the past really good guitars, and when you look at some stuff on it, like on the pickups and stuff. So I used to play Seymour Duncan Jeff Beck pickups, and they still around today. So somehow I think there's new stuff coming. So with the Schecter guitar I bought this year, I'm really happy with that. Trying active pickups first time in my life, actually. Was always fine with that Jeff Beck, Seymour Duncan stuff. And I wouldn't say that it is worse or better. So maybe you can a little bit compare it to the price, and maybe today I would say, especially for the beginners, you can get better instruments for a smaller price, but it's actually good for everyone who is starting. The first instruments I bought, some Korean stuff, was actually not good quality, and I had to buy something new then with my increased abilities of playing. I think today you can have for a very cheap price a very good instrument from the beginning, and I think this has changed. But when you have a certain level where you are looking for an instrument what really fits to you and you want to play for a long time, then it hasn't changed, I would say.
Well, I want to say this. When I asked that question, I was kind of asking it selfishly. So, because we actually had a conversation with a band last month, and it kind of sparked me a little bit. I used to play bass in high school in a band, and I kind of haven't, like, once that band kind of went its separate ways, I never really picked it back up. And like talking to them a couple weeks ago kind of sparked my interest again. So I'm like, okay, we're actually that's where I'm going today. Is actually I'm going to look at and see kind of where I want to go and what kind of instrument I want. And the reason I asked that is because I said, well, if I go here in I see something newer, or if I see something older, what direction do I want to go in? But I appreciate the feedback, because I will probably actually just pick them all up and see how they kind of feel, probably.
Yeah.
And then I think a lot too is now with guitar playing and stuff, it's probably going to depend on what accessories you add to your sound, probably more than it actually does the guitar. It's like the wah pedals, or if you do different amps and equalizers and stuff like that. So
I was around through also decades with a PV 5150, the first generation. Yeah. So I still have it in a rehearsal room and using it. But I have to say that especially live today, I prefer the Kemper amp. And especially in a live situation, you cannot I know some people are around and say, oh, the old tube amp stuff is better, but actually it copies the sound of a tube amp, and especially in the live situation, you cannot differentiate it. So for me, it's sounding really good through my Mesa Boogie cabinet, and it makes the live on stage so much easier, because you actually, especially for yourself, in the monitor sound, you can generate a much more precise sound with less noise on stage. Because the tube amp, you have always to push completely fully that the tubes are working and you generate your sound. And sometimes the audience is actually listening to the PA. So the stuff you have on stage comes from the amp, and you cannot turn it down a little bit because you need it for the sound. And with the Kemper, all this is much more easy in a live situation, and you could put a lot of effects directly to it. And the only other thing, what I'm, of course, for the guitar solo and lead sound, I have some usual stuff like delay and some small things. And for that bit crazy lead stuff, I only play a little bit with that delay and reverb, so there's no special things. And what I'm also using is a Vox wah pedal. And that's for me quite important, as I use it a lot, and especially that a little bit crazy lead stuff. So it's a combination of delay and some bendings where you play around the tuning a little bit, and using the wah pedal in addition, and that is quite good. So basically, also with the Kemper, my sound is actually a PB 5150, the original one, with a Vox wah pedal. So
okay.
And the Kemper actually. So when you say,
gotcha. So when you say you play the wah pedal a lot, not like Kirk Hammett though.
I was just thinking this. I was just thinking the same thing. I was like, he got nothing on Kirk Hammett. There's no fucking way.
We make a joke about that because people been giving him a hard time about it, but I mean it's it still sounds good to us.
Oh, it does. It sounds good.
Yeah, so. I don't know why people want to be such critical. Everybody's a critic that can't play.
Right.
I think that's the way I always said it. When I was a wrestler, everybody critiqued your stuff, but they, when you say, "Well, get in the ring and show me how to do it," they're like, "Oh no, I'm not going to do that." Well, shut the fuck up. It's like it's pretty simple. If you can't do it, then don't try to mock people that are trying.
Quite interesting why Kirk Hammett is so underrated, and of course I know the discussions about his raw sound, but actually he's a great guitar player playing in the most successful heavy or thrash metal band. So, but yeah,
I almost think fans like this. I think fans despise you more the more popular you get. For some reason, I don't understand. I don't understand that.
Seems like it.
I'll never understand that. Like I'll never understand. Certain like media. We always say, when we talk to other bands, like who's the next Metallica or Guns N' Roses, or is there going to be one? Even Arch Enemy, Alyssa White has asked that question. It's like who's going to take that spot once they're done? And I think that's kind of where we're at, is we're looking for, us as fans are like listening to these younger bands going, okay, who's going to wind up being in the next 10 years a Metallica-esque type band? And I don't think I don't think that's possible, because I don't think that the media pushes things the way they did in the 90s, 80s, and 90s with like Metallica and Guns N' Roses and those bands. They just don't take the time to push other bands to that level. And I think the bands that they do pick up on is kind of like, I don't think they're as broad. I don't think they're broad enough to reach that level. I guess I could say. And nothing wrong with the bands they try to push, I don't think. I just think they're picking a band that's not as, like I said, diverse. I don't think they're as diverse as a Metallica or Guns N' Roses or Megadeth or anybody like that. So, and I think the diversity is really where you come in. People give a lot of the bands, like, we talk about Disturbed, where, Disturbed had that Evolution album because that was an album that was not used to their sound. And you hear 20 years worth of, hey, your record sounds like the last record. And then you change it and fans are going like, what the hell? This don't sound like you. It's like, okay, well, you can't win because you're trying to do something to, at some point you have to be like, okay. And I do love this about most bands now. If you ask them, they're like, we're not writing shit for the fans. We're writing shit we want to, we feel, we feel this, we want to play this. And if you listen to it, fine. If not, that's your prerogative, And like I said, me and Chris both have our opinions on certain genres of metal. While neither one of us are big death metal fans. Not saying that death metal definitely has a place in the metal industry, because it does. It's really big. It's really, it's because it's fucking huge in some parts of the world. And like, we don't knock any genre of metal. We just don't gravitate towards certain genres. Like if it comes on, will I listen to it? Probably, just because I'm a metal fan and I like listening to metal. But it's at some point, you kind of like pick a side where, like I said, we're both thrash metal fans at heart because of where we grew up. We grew up in that era where we had Exodus and Testament, Metallica, and Megadeth. So it was kind of the thing that stood out.
Yeah, that's where we cut our teeth.
Yeah, but the good thing is we kind of evolutionized with the music, because at one point we became Slipknot and Korn fans. And then, eventually we became, I'm a big Ice Nine Kills fan. So, I kind of went over into metalcore a little bit. And then Chris that's kind of where we separate. We kind of like, and that's what makes the show so great, is like we start out with thrash, and then I kind of gravitate more over to the metalcore side, and Chris kind of gravitates over toward the melodic metal side. So, and I'll hear stuff and I'm like, hey man, you got to check this out, because I want to hear your opinion, because you like that more than I do. So it's kind of like we turn each other on to certain stuff sometimes, which is pretty cool.
It sounds like a great combination. Definitely. Good.
Yeah.
It's worked out so far.
I know we're running up on like 2 hours, but I do have a couple of more questions for you if you got time. I wanted to ask, because we always ask this question of every band member, and I know you guys have been in different bands, so it doesn't have to be from your current band. But is there any like stories from your other bands or current bands or anything that kind of stick with you, like crazy happenings or funny stories or anything like that?
I have to.
That's usually the reaction to the question.
Already the Phil Dennis story was something funny and crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say that was a good one.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
I cannot top that. I think no.
Well, hey, that's all right. That's fine.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's fair enough.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we had a lot of things which happened through all the years. So I cannot pick one. I think later this evening I would say, oh, that's one I should have told them. But
well, hey, you have our email, so you can actually
there you go. Yeah, you have it.
If you think about something, because we'll definitely share that if you email it to us. But I mean, we've had some crazy stories come out on here when we. Definitely when we ask this question, we don't ever know what we're going to get. So we've gotten bands that shit themselves. We've had bands that's lost an axle on a tour. We've had a lot of crazy stories on here. So
I have one comes in my mind. We got booked with our in the it was 90s. With our thrash metal band at that time was called Low, like after the Testament record. And we were booked on a biker festival, and we said thrash metal and bikers who want to party, but the money was good, and we were young and needed it, and so we did it. And that was a quite strange experience because we played a song. So in front of us, they're all sitting with beer on tables there, and we played hard, aggressive thrash metal. And when we finished the song, there was absolutely zero reaction. So they didn't clap, they didn't scream, they're just drinking beer and doing cheers to each other and prost. And we said, oh, Jesus Christ, will we survive alive? And then there was the whole stage was under a kind of a bridge was on the left top side, so we couldn't look up to the bridge. And then some kids came together, which were not on the festival, they just could look down to the bikers and to the stage. And they started then to between our songs that they started to cry loser, loser, and we said, oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, wow.
This is really, really shameful. And then we were ready at some point, and a strip show was starting. And in the second where the girls come on the stage, the bikers jump on really beers left and right, and they run to the stage, and everyone was raising the fist to the girls, and we said, okay, that is the kind of entertainment they actually wanted to have today. So, but at the end, we thought, that was really a shameful one. But then we asked them, guys, sorry, but maybe that was just the wrong music for that kind of festival here. And they said, no, they really loved you. But they are not here to making screams and dancing in front of stage or something. They're just here for drinking beer and having heavy metal music while drinking beer. But they are not here to going crazy in front of the stage. So they really loved your stuff. And we said, oh, okay. So at the end, so it was fine. But the whole gig was painful. It was really painful.
I think a lot of bands could probably relate to something similar to that. Sometimes we go to shows and we'll hear we're there to see one band, and then some of the opening acts, I'm just like, wow, who put this shit together? But but because they have like no like similarities at all between like, because I remember going to a local show and they had 3 bands there. I went to see one of the bands that I knew, and then the other 2 bands that were opening, I'm just like, wow, this is nothing like the headliner. So wow, who put this together? But I mean, they all have to start somewhere. So it's kind of, it's kind of like you have to, like I said, as a fan, you have to put all that behind your mind and give and kind of be open minded to what you're listening to. And like I said, a lot of bands that we've talked to on here, I discovered live. I didn't even know who they were until I heard them at a festival. And I was just like, man, these guys were good. So then I'd hit them up and be like, hey, man, you want to come on the show? And they're like, yeah, we'll come on the show. So at least 5 bands that I know of, I heard at festivals came on the show. So it's pretty cool. If you can get anything out of festivals, that's probably one of the better things to kind of get out of it, but especially for us. But
that just goes to show that the entire bill of a festival is important. It's not just it's not just the headliners. The headliners pull the people in, but it's the people on the lower end of the bill who benefit the most.
Yeah. And like a lot of times I go to see, I know some of the headliners, but a lot of times I don't go to see those guys because I've already seen them. You know what I mean? Like I've seen Slipknot a few times, I've seen Disturbed a few times. So it's not like I would, don't get me wrong, if I'll probably still check them out, but my main thing is to go and hear bands that I've never heard live, or bands that I don't even know, because like I said, I spend a lot of my time at these festivals on stages where I have no idea who these bands are. So it's pretty cool. Like I said, that new music is kind of what we try to push. So to kind of hear, like I said, new music is great. Whatever it is, death metal, new metal, whatever, it's metal. And as far as the metal community, I'm grateful that anybody listens to any genre. So as long as we together can keep it alive, that's the main thing. So
yep.
Absolutely. So real quick, Deimos Dawn, do y'all have any like upcoming shows planned or anything like that?
Yes, so we have some. So actually, we are a little bit in negotiation phase. So for next year, with the album in the back, we have already open air festival gigs booked. For this year, we have in negotiation some support shows for one of the big German well-known thrash bands. So this should happen then in autumn. We have our release, actually record release show with Final Cry and Surgical Strike, 2 other German thrash bands. That one should already be happened, but because of some circumstances, it had to postpone. And unfortunately, because of that COVID stuff, some of the big open airs in Germany, like the Nord Open Air, got cancelled now, and we were booked there, and because of the increased costs for live shows, they cancelled the whole thing.
Yeah,
which is a shame. But yeah, that's the situation at the moment. So, but I'm actually.
So you're actually live over there. So this is a good question to ask you, because we kind of talked about this on the show when because I actually covered that story on the show a few weeks ago. But there was 2 festivals that actually canceled that week. One was over there, and then I think one was in Finland or something. I think I don't remember, but there was 2 shows overseas like that. So my thought was, or my thinking was, and I wanted to ask you what you thought, but do you think there are too many festivals that happen there is why some of those can't succeed? Or
no, the problems is not the sell of the tickets. So actually, I think the festivals still sell very good or are sold out actually. So the problem is really the increased costs, because during the COVID time, I think in the US it must be the same. So there was no shows.
No,
so
there weren't any. No.
Yeah. So all the people which are used to work there behind the scenes, the stagehands, the technicians, all the guys, they have new jobs today, so they had to look for new jobs in different industries, and all these guys are not available. They didn't return. So you have today here in Germany just a few companies, people left working on the shows behind the scenes, and also any other costs went up. So it's just everything became very expensive. So we have general inflation by 10% or even more, and then especially in that sector of entertainment, the people run away. So that's a huge problem at the moment. So that's why many shows got cancelled. So unfortunately, many American bands who actually had booked a European tour, they cancel now, and many things I actually wanted to see this year. I got the news whole tour is cancelled. So that's quite a shame. Hopefully things actually in our private life, fortunately things got back normal, but I think in many parts of the industry, especially in the one we are all in and love to participate as a fan and everything, they are still in problems. And I hope that in 24 things have get to normal more than now, and maybe more people return to their former jobs when they got more trust that will pay their bills in the future. So,
that makes sense. So
totally.
Well, we know it's bad when Anthrax can't afford to tour in Europe. So I mean, you got a band like Anthrax that can't afford to tour. I'm like, what?
Yeah, Anthrax is canceled twice.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So just because of travel expenses, I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
And then I think the biggest issue with guys from
sorry, one other reason, which is also on the part of because I mentioned the tickets. I think the people changed a little bit their behavior because the number of people goes to a show is more or less the same, but people buy the ticket at the evening, and in the time before COVID, you bought your ticket maybe a month or 2 months before the show and during COVID, as there got so many shows got cancelled at the evening because of some rising COVID numbers. People fear to buy a ticket for a show in advance, so they buy the ticket at the evening, and that gives the guys who organize the shows not the trust that people will come at the shows. In the years before, they just could see all the pre-sales quite good. The thing will work, and now they have no pre-sales, and so they don't know what they have to expect at the evening, and that's why many shows get cancelled by the organizers. And it's.
I know. Me and Chris both had tickets during COVID that actually wound up getting reimbursed to us because they just never could get it, back on track. So I can see as a consumer, I can see, waiting until like a week or two before just to make sure, hey, is this going to happen or not?
Right.
But I have been guilty about, like, I ain't gonna lie, I just bought Trivium and Beartooth tickets like a week ago, and they're actually coming on Wednesdays. So I actually, I waited till that time. Not really because of that. It's just because I had so much other stuff going on, and I was like, okay, can I afford to do this? Because I tend to look at a ticket price and be like, oh, $30, hell yeah, I'll go, and then I don't realize they're a week apart, and I'm like, oh shit, and I gotta save $200 for t-shirts and shit. It's a bad planning move on my part.
It's a logistical problem.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a personal error. Definitely can't blame the bands for that one. But that's cool. Like, so y'all got some stuff lined up. It's pretty cool. So
And also, as you know, we'll keep an eye on, you know, the website for you guys and the social media and stuff like that.
I'll follow them on all the socials.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So we'll make sure that, you know, once stuff is announced, that we get it out there too. So
cool. Yeah.
We love sharing the
mm-hmm.
stuff, especially if people take time to come on our show and talk to us. We want to take our time to help promote you guys. So
absolutely.
You know, so
like I said, we will take care of it. Every single week, you guys. Cool.
Yeah.
Every little bit helps. Yeah. Every little bit helps.
Last time we looked, our reach was actually more over there than it is over here. So, which is, you know, crazy. But
I actually think that's true. I really do.
Yeah. So but like I said, we talked to a lot more bands from over there. Like I think when I did the world tour shirts last year, we kind of did a world tour shirt, and we did the world tour with our logo on the front, and then the back had the area from which the bands were from. So, you know, you had Germany and Finland and all that, and I think we only had 3 United States dates.
Most of our guests from the beginning have been from Europe. We've been a predominantly European interview show. We really have.
I can look and see what we've had. We've had a few more United States bands this year than we usually have. So we're definitely trying to keep you know, it alive over here too. But I feel like I said, I feel like there's a lot of people that don't follow the music scene over there, and I think they're missing out. And
they absolutely are missing out. Oh my God.
There's so many amazing bands from over there. And I mean, we talked in what you talked about earlier, being high school friends with you know, all of you guys is pretty cool, because we just talked to a band a month ago called Arched Fire that were the same way. They were a band in high school. Yeah, they were a band in high school, and then didn't do anything. They were playing their other things along the way, and then like last year or 2 years ago, they decided, hey, let's give this another go, and then, you know, they put out an amazing album. So it's like you know, in listening to you guys' album, I think that if people don't know who Deimos Dawn, and they need to check it out, because I think they're really missing out on some good material. So
yeah, thanks. Yeah, but it's the same vice versa. So also for us European guys, I think we also of course miss a lot which happens in the US, and that's why it's quite great that shows like your podcast that you do that stuff, and that it gives the opportunity just to learn more about different bands. So that's a really great opportunity for everyone.
And then like one of the things I do, right. And then one of the things I do every week is I create a playlist, and I base it off of the new releases coming out. So everything on our playlist is basically new releases, and you know, and then like there are like some songs that are new from, you know, bands that we know, but most of the list is bands that you may not have ever heard of. So so you know, and I try to take pride in doing that, because like I said, that's kind of what we want to give that band that extra boost. So
cool.
And you know,
we're supporting whatever way we can. So
exactly, yeah, because we've talked about this on the show plenty of times. You know, Jason and I are of the opinion that as far as, you know, the main musical genres that people would think of, we know, first of all, we know metal is not up towards the top probably, but we're of the opinion that as far as worldwide reach, we're of the opinion that heavy metal is probably, in our, at least we're of the opinion, is like, you know, hey, fight me if you want to on this, but we think that heavy metal is probably the most international genre of music, because I mean, we've you know, I think the only part of the world that we haven't had an interview yet is like Asia. We haven't had a band from Asia on the show yet, but we know that there are Asian heavy metal bands. We've even had a band on the show from Australia. So, you know, so we have listened to music from literally all over the world. We've talked to bands almost from all over the world at this point. Like I say, to anybody from Asia yet, but we know that there are bands out there. So even though we're in the United States, it doesn't make to us as a musical genre and a music podcast that's covering that genre to pigeonhole just to the country we live in, because it doesn't make any sense from the aspect of just the music, but it also doesn't make any sense from, we would be robbing ourselves if we just focused on the bands here in the United States. Because like Jason said, you look at the back of our first shirt and probably 75% of the bands aren't from here. So we would be depriving ourselves of 75% of the music that we could possibly listen to if we exclude bands from outside the United States. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Yeah, I totally agree to that. And you are right. So it's a really international music, and even when you have some local favor in the different styles, but it's even an international music. So you have thrash metal, you have heavy metal, speed metal, that goes worldwide always.
Yep.
And the local favor, that makes it quite interesting that you have some differences which what goes into the mix. So it's a quite cool thing.
Yeah. It really is. It really is like a community. So, I mean, we touched on we touched on like the races and the genders and all that, the sexual preferences earlier in the show. So, I mean, you have all that, but then at the same time, you have all that from all these other countries, and you're just in this tight knit community. So, people literally from everywhere.
All right, so we know we're going to wrap up here in just a minute, so I just want to give you a chance to kind of tell people where they can find you guys, or buy merch, or whatever they can do to help support you guys.
Sorry, that was I just didn't get it. Could you please repeat?
Oh, sorry. I said we was getting ready to wrap up here in just a second, but I wanted to give you a chance to kind of tell everybody where to find you guys or buy merch from you guys or anything like that. So.
Yeah, websites and social media and stuff.
Yeah, thank you. So of course, everyone, we have to apologize with our website. We're a little bit back on that, so that has to be renewed after release now. Of course, we have our Instagram and Facebook profile, so everybody can find us there, and everything what we will do in the future get announced there. So you find Deimos Dawn in Instagram and Facebook, and there's everything. And of course, we are on Spotify and all that platforms, and we will release their new gig dates and everything. And hopefully by guys like you who do that really great podcast stuff. So everything goes, all infos, the music goes a bit around the world, and people can hear that everywhere. So really, I do really appreciate that. And and of course you have today use all that social media stuff to spread all the news. So please, everyone, look at that. Look at our sites, and everything in the future will be there. Yeah. And of course, we are writing new songs.
Also, the people that listen. Oh, nice! Always good to hear that. So, but anybody that wants to hear this later on, I will wind up uploading this to Spotify as well. So that'll surely help out a little bit. So,
great.
But we appreciate you taking your time out of your day to talk with us. And for anybody that don't know, Deimos Dawn, the Anthem of the Lost is available. If you want to listen to that over there on Spotify or whatever your streaming preference is, I guess. Is it on like the Apples and everything, or?
Yes, you can find it everywhere. Yeah,
Yes.
Nice.
Okay, so yeah, so it is everywhere. So no excuse not to check it out and listen to it. So.
Nope, none.
That's right.
No excuse.
Yeah,
And you
that's kind of like what that's kind of like what we do. We got about 8 platforms, so we try to make sure everybody has.
Yep.
It. We're like, well, you can't escape us. We're going to be everywhere. So
No, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, but you guys won't. You
Andy,
guys
we really
won't
do
be.
appreciate.
Yeah, you guys won't be disappointed with the new album.
No, definitely not. So,
No.
but
Thank you.
and Andy, we appreciate you, like I said, taking your time out of your day to talk with us a little bit, and we definitely like talking to you, all of our guests, and
Yep.
And so, but it was
I have to thank you guys.
Yeah, and we
you're very welcome. Yes, it is.
Yeah. We look.
Was a lot of
Like I said, hopefully it benefits us all. So
Yeah.
so
And
that's
hopefully,
the main
and
goal.
hopefully
So-
this isn't, and hopefully this isn't the only time we get a chance to talk. So
Oh yeah, we'd love to. Yeah.
Not to me. So
I know
I'm definitely come back when you ask. So it was a great fun, and yeah, time was flying, guys. So that was really.
it did. Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking up. I said, "Damn, we've almost spent 2.5 hours. That's crazy." But I like that, and that's one of the things we kind of do. We just kind of flow, and we just kind of like, okay, we don't want any dead spots, so we kind of be like, okay, well, we can kind of see where this is going, or whatever. But we don't want to keep people on here, all day either. I mean, we've talked to people that could probably go 6 hours, and we could just sit here and listen to them because they took over the show. I'm just like, oh well, okay, then makes my job easier. So
It does. Yeah.
But yeah, we do appreciate it, Andy, and hopefully we can get some updates on some shows and stuff that we can share for you guys and all that good stuff. And yeah, like I say, anything you want us to share, you hit me up, man. I'll be glad to pass it along.
Mm-hmm.
So. And if you think of any other good story, and if you think of any of that good stories later, email it up.
Don't forget to send my best wishes to Phil Demmel in case.
Count on it.
If we ever talk to him or meet that guy, we're going to bring that up.
Absolutely.
That may be the first thing I say to him. Say, hey, aren't you the keyboard player? No, I'm just kidding.
You played at Machine Head. Yeah, no violence, I know, but you played the keyboard at Machine Head.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
But Andy, we do appreciate it, man. Thanks for taking your time out today to sit with us for a little bit and tell everybody about Deimos Dawn, and hopefully people gravitate toward you guys and find out how special you guys are, like we already know. So
yep.
Cool, great guys.
Yeah, we appreciate it, man. I hope you have a great one, and feel free to let us know about anything, and maybe when you get new stuff out, we'll have you on again to talk about that. So,
oh hell yeah, of course.
Yeah, let's do so. Cool, yeah, great. Then, thank you very much. What can I say? So, really cool that you like to record, and I hope.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yep.
We'll do as well, and the next one is in preparation. So so we are really moving forward, and I'm looking forward to come back to your show quite soon.
We appreciate it, man.
Yep.
You have a great day, Andy.
Yeah. Take care, buddy.
Take care.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Awesome.
Another great interview.
Yes. Yeah. Like I said, I mean, it was going so well. I just looked up and I said, "Oh shit, it's been 2.5 hours."
Mm-hmm.
It's like great. It's crazy how fast it gets away from you.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's just so you get in that comfort zone with these guys, and it's just kind of just flows. So
it does.
But yeah, we definitely appreciate Andy for dropping in and talking with us a little bit, and hopefully everybody enjoys it. And like I said, we'll get this up on Spotify as soon as I can get it downloaded and uploaded. So
Spotify, and then it'll be on YouTube probably. The end of the day, you guys can rewatch you guys can rewatch the entire interview by the end of the day. So, but then but like Jason said, you'll be able to take it on the go with you on Spotify here in the next little bit. So. So yeah, it will be available.
So.
Yep.
Because it was kind of crazy how I was looking over and like it was freezing here for my side, but you and him were still talking. I'm like, okay, that's great. That's all I needed to know. So so it's good. It's good to know that it does that.
Yeah.
So
well, it only did well, and thankfully it only really did that the one time. So
yeah. I mean, it kind of like glitched out on me a couple of times, but it wasn't nothing that I didn't miss anything. Not a lot anyway. So
no.
All right, so appreciate everyone for stopping in with us, and like I said, we'll get this up on Spotify and stuff later. So, like I said, special thanks again to Andy from Deimos Dawn. Check out their album Anthem of the Lost on Spotify and all the other streaming platforms there, I guess. So, definitely, like I said, definitely won't be disappointed if you're a big creator fan or anybody like that. You'll definitely dig their sound.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But all right, so hopefully, well, not hopefully, but maybe we'll have another band on. I don't know. I know there's some talks going on with another band right now, back and forth. So we actually had to get in touch with our PR person. So
that kind of muddies the waters a little bit.
It does a little, but like I said, I got a couple more lines in the water, so we'll see what happens. But anyway, so just plan on a regular show next Friday night, 10 p.m. Central Standard Time on all the platforms. Follow us over on Facebook and Instagram and all those good things to find out exactly what's going on. Because, like I said, we change up if we have to talk to bands from overseas because it's kind of difficult for them to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning to talk to us if we do a 10 p.m. show on Friday. So So we make the sacrifice and get up early ourselves on Saturday morning. So but appreciate everybody. And like I said, hopefully if we don't have any interview updates, you can catch us back here next Friday night, 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. And hopefully we will see you guys then. Hopefully you enjoyed the show today. But till then, keep those horns held high. Jump in that pit anytime you can.
Have a great week, guys.